The humid Chicago air hung heavy as I unlocked the door to our Lincoln Park brownstone. I'm Alaric, 43, an IT consultant, and after a brutal week of server migrations, all I craved was a cold beer and the comforting embrace of my wife, Bronte. The silence in the house was immediate and unsettling. Usually I'd be greeted by the aroma of Bronte's cooking and the sound of her laughter echoing from the kitchen. But today, nothing. "Bronte," I called out, my voice echoing through the empty rooms. No answer. I shrugged it off, assuming she was out running errands or catching up with friends. I headed to the fridge, grabbed a beer, and slumped onto the couch, flipping through channels on the TV. An hour passed, then two. Still no Bronte. A knot of unease began to tighten in my stomach. Bronte was usually meticulous about letting me know her plans. A text, a quick call, something. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through our text messages. Nothing since early that morning, a simple "have a good day at work, love you." That was it. I tried calling her. The phone rang and rang, then went to voicemail. "Hey, it's Bronte, leave a message." Her cheerful voice felt like a punch to the gut. I left a message, trying to sound casual, asking where she was and when she'd be home. Another hour crawled by. The silence in the house was now deafening. The initial unease had morphed into annoying anxiety. I started pacing, my mind racing through 100 different scenarios. Car accident, emergency at work, something terrible had happened. I tried calling her again. Voicemail. I tried calling her best friend Lido, no answer. I sent Lido a text asking if she'd heard from Bronte. A few minutes later, Lido replied, "She's with me. We're at a spa day. She said she told you." "A spa day?" She told me. My blood ran cold. Bronte knew how much I'd been looking forward to this weekend. We had planned to go to a Cubs game on Saturday and have a quiet Sunday brunch. A spa day was never mentioned. I texted Lido back. "That's weird. She didn't tell me. Can you have her call me?" Lido didn't reply. I waited, staring at my phone, willing it to ring. Nothing. The anxiety was now a full-blown panic. Something was terribly wrong. I decided to drive over to Lido's apartment. It was only about a 20-minute drive, and I figured I could clear things up quickly. As I pulled up to Lido's building, I saw Bronte's car parked out front. My heart pounded in my chest. I parked my car, got out, and walked towards the building, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and dread. As I approached the entrance, I noticed something odd. Bronte's car wasn't parked in a visitor spot. It was parked in Lido's assigned parking space. That was strange. Bronte knew Lido valued her parking space. She would never park there without asking. I entered the building and rode the elevator up to Lido's floor. As I walked down the hallway, I could hear muffled voices coming from Lido's apartment. I hesitated for a moment, my hand hovering over the doorbell. Something told me I didn't want to ring that bell. I pressed my ear against the door, trying to make out what they were saying. At first, it was just a jumble of indistinct sounds, but then I heard Bronte's voice. "Oh, Lucian, that feels so good." Lucian. Who the hell was Lucian? My blood turned to ice. I pressed my ear harder against the door, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear moaning, soft and sensual. It was Bronte, and she was definitely not having a spa day. I stumbled back from the door, my legs feeling weak. My world tilted on its axis. Bronte, with someone else, it couldn't be. It had to be a mistake. I was hallucinating, but the sounds coming from the apartment were undeniable. Rage, hot and blinding, surged through me. I wanted to kick down the door, to confront them, to demand an explanation, but I couldn't move. I was frozen, paralyzed by disbelief and pain. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, listening to the sounds of my wife betraying me. Finally, I managed to pull myself together. I couldn't stay there. I couldn't face them. Not yet. I turned and walked back to the elevator, my steps heavy and unsteady. I drove home in a daze, the events of the past hour replaying in my mind. I parked the car in the garage and walked into the house, the silence now a crushing weight. I went straight to the liquor cabinet and poured myself a stiff drink, downing it in one gulp. It did little to ease the pain. I poured another one and another. I sat on the couch, staring blankly at the TV, the images blurring into a meaningless kaleidoscope of colors. How could she do this to me? How could she betray me like this? We had been together for 15 years. 15 years of love, trust, and commitment, or so I thought. The questions swirled in my mind, each one more painful than the last. Had she been unhappy? Had I done something wrong? Was our marriage a lie? I replayed our relationship in my head, searching for clues, for signs that I had missed. The late nights at work, the sudden interest in new hobbies, the subtle changes in her behavior, they all seemed to fit into a new, horrifying narrative. I spent the rest of the evening in a drunken stupor, alternating between rage and despair. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Bronte's face, contorted in pleasure with another man. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a profound sense of emptiness. The events of the previous day felt like a nightmare, but the reality was inescapable. Bronte had cheated on me, and I had no idea why. I decided I needed to confront her. I needed to know the truth. I waited for her to come home, pacing the floor like a caged animal. Finally, around noon, I heard the key in the door. My heart leaped into my throat. I took a deep breath and braced myself for the confrontation. Bronte walked in, her face flushed and her eyes bright. She looked surprised to see me. "Alaric, what are you doing home?" she asked, her voice a little too cheerful. "We need to talk," I said, my voice cold and hard. She frowned. "About what?" "About Lucian," I said, watching her reaction. Her face paled. "Who?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Don't play dumb, Bronte. I know about the spa day. I know about Lucian. I know everything." She hesitated for a moment, then her shoulders slumped. "Oh," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "So you know?" "Yes, I know," I said, my voice rising. "And I want to know why. Why did you do this to me?" She looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know," she said. I don't know." "That's not good enough, Bronte," I said, my voice shaking with anger. 15 years of marriage, and you throw it all away for some spa day. "It's not like that," she said, her voice pleading. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to happen." "What does that even mean?" I asked, incredulous. "Did you just trip and fall into his bed?" She didn't answer. She just stood there crying. "Who is he?" I asked, my voice calmer now. "Is he someone I know?" Hesitated again, then nodded. He's a colleague from work," she said. "He's in the marketing department." "A colleague from work, of course. That made perfect sense. All those late nights at the office, all those business trips. It all clicked into place." "How long has this been going on?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "A few months," she said, her voice choked with sobs. "It started as just flirting, and then it just escalated." "And you didn't think to tell me?" I asked, my voice rising again. "You just kept lying to my face, pretending that everything was fine." "I was going to tell you," she said. "I swear, I just didn't know how." "Well, you've certainly found a way now," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "So what happens now, Bronte?" I asked. "Do you want to be with him? Is that it? Are you leaving me for Lucian?" She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and regret. "I don't know what I want," she said. "I'm so confused." "Confused?" I said, my voice incredulous. "You're confused. I'm the one who's confused. I'm the one who's been betrayed. I'm the one who's had his heart ripped out." I couldn't take it anymore. I turned and walked out of the house, slamming the door behind me. I needed to get away, to clear my head, to figure out what to do next. I drove aimlessly for hours, ending up at a small bar on the outskirts of the city. I sat at the bar, nursing a beer, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. The bartender, a grizzled old man with kind eyes, noticed my distress. "Rough day?" he asked, wiping down the bar. I nodded, unable to speak. He poured me another beer on the house. "Sometimes life throws you a curveball," he said. "It's how you handle it that matters." I looked at him, grateful for his simple words of wisdom. I spent the rest of the evening at the bar, talking to the bartender, sharing my story, and trying to find some semblance of peace. By the time I left, I had made a decision. I couldn't stay with Bronte, not after what she had done. The trust was broken, the love was gone, there was no going back. The next morning, I went back to the house and packed my bags. Bronte was there, waiting for me. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice filled with fear. "I'm leaving," I said, my voice cold and resolute. "I can't stay here anymore. I can't be with you." She started to cry. "Please don't go," she said. "I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll quit my job. Just please don't leave me." "It's too late, Bronte," I said. "You've already destroyed everything." I walked out of the house, leaving her standing there, alone and broken. I didn't look back. I moved into a small apartment downtown, started seeing a therapist, and focused on my work. It was a difficult time, filled with pain and loneliness. But I knew I had made the right decision. I deserved better than to be with someone who would betray me so easily. A few weeks later, I received a call from a private investigator I had hired. He had been looking into Lucian, Bronte's affair partner. "I have some information you might find interesting," he said. I met him at a coffee shop and he handed me a file. "Lucian isn't just a colleague," he said. "He's married, and he has a history of affairs." I opened the file and started reading. Lucian was a serial cheater, a manipulator who preyed on vulnerable women. He had been fired from several jobs for inappropriate behavior. He was a liar, a cheat, and a scumbag. I felt a surge of anger not just at Lucian but at Bronte. How could she be so blind? How could she fall for someone like that? But then I realized something. Bronte wasn't the only victim in this situation. Lucian's wife was too. I decided to call her. Her name was Christabel. She was hesitant at first, but after I explained the situation, she agreed to meet me. We met at a park and I told her everything I knew about Lucian and Bronte. She was devastated. She had no idea that her husband was cheating on her. "I feel like such a fool," she said, tears streaming down her face. "He always seemed so perfect." "He's not perfect," I said. "He's a liar and a cheat, and he's been playing both of us." Christabel and I decided to work together to expose Lucian. We gathered evidence, documented his lies, and prepared to confront him. A few days later, we arranged a meeting with Lucian and Bronte at a restaurant. They were both shocked to see us together. "What's going on?" Lucian asked, his face pale. "We know everything, Lucian," I said. "We know about your affairs, we know about your lies, and we're not going to let you get away with it anymore." Christabel stood up and handed Lucian a stack of papers. "These are divorce papers," she said. "I'm leaving you, and I'm taking everything with me." Bronte started to cry. "Lucian, is this true?" she asked. "Have you been lying to me?" Lucian didn't answer. He just stood there, his face a mask of guilt and shame. I stood up and looked at Bronte. "I hope you're happy," I said. "You've ruined your marriage, destroyed a family, and all for a man who doesn't care about you." I walked out of the restaurant, leaving Bronte and Lucian to face the consequences of their actions. A few weeks later, I received a call from Bronte. She was distraught. Lucian had left her. He had moved on to another woman, leaving her alone and broken. "I'm so sorry, Alaric," she said, her voice choked with sobs. "I made a terrible mistake. Can you ever forgive me?" "I don't know, Bronte," I said. "Maybe someday, but not now. Right now I need to focus on myself, on healing, on moving on." I hung up the phone, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. The ordeal was finally over. I had survived the betrayal, exposed the cheaters, and emerged stronger than ever. I learned a valuable lesson. Trust is precious, and once it's broken, it can never be fully repaired. It was a painful journey, but it led me to a place of self-respect, independence, and the knowledge that I deserve to be loved and valued for who I am.